Welcome to Kids Arise.
So God created man in his own image.
Today's class will be having a Bible trivia.
My sheep listen to my voice, I know them and they follow me.
In the beginning,
God created the heavens and the earth.
what did we say is like sand?
Is our earthly desires to want something that you don't really need.
A song of peace, declaring freedom.
I wish that my master could go to the prophet.
Now can the door be open to you?
This day, Goliath, the Lord will deliver you into my hands.
Whoever does not love does not know God, for God is love.
Elevate TV.
Good morning, good day, depending on where you are tuned in from. This is the Morning Digest, and as always, we come to you live from our Elevate TV studios right at the city of Nairobi, at the heart of the city of Nairobi. So today we are talking about wellness, and we'll be touching on diets. And it's important for you to know whether you are actually eating well, whether what you're eating is balanced, and whether it is appropriate for you based on your age and the activities that you engage in. So we have that opportunity today to have a guest in studio who will educate us, who will talk to us, who will inform us on what we need to do and what we need to know about dieting. For many women, I think dieting is one of the things that we think about a lot because we have children, some have spouses, some have mothers, fathers, because we are caregivers in the society. And so it's important for us to know about dieting so that we can be able to effectively serve the people that come to us. And so without taking much more time, allow me to introduce our guest today, and I'll actually allow her to just introduce herself. Natasha, welcome to the show.
Thank you. I'm so happy to be here.
Great. So please introduce yourself, what you do, where you come from, and then we can pick it up from there.
Okay, my name is Natasha Buteme. I'm a registered dietitian and nutritionist. I'm registered by the KNDI. I work at Equity Afya and Care Call Kenya as a clinical nutritionist, a nutrition lead, and also a wellness coordinator. I'll explain that much later, and I'm looking forward to letting you know the different things that as a woman you need for your general wellness and your diet.
Okay. Lovely. Thank you so much for coming, Natasha. So maybe to start us off in our conversation, what is a diet? Because for many people, believe diet is that, sort of menu that you have when you want to lose weight.
Yes.
So what is diet?
So I'll actually start by defining a couple of things that I think are necessary for our conversation today. So we'll start with wellness. What is wellness? We all hear about wellness. We hear about wellness campaigns, about wellness programs. So what is wellness? Wellness is basically the state of being intentional about your well-being. And it's not just about nutrition. It's about your physical health, your mental health, your diet, and your general well-being, being intentional about it and taking care of it. That is just wellness. what is nutrition? Nutrition is basically the state at which an organism utilizes the food or the diet that they eat, and which gives us the energy and enables the systems in our body to function well. Then a diet is basically the food that we eat. So there are many different types of diets that we have in our society. Some of them which are recommended and some of them that are not. And I'm pretty sure that most, if not all, of the people around us do not really know what diet they need. Maybe they don't care, or they do not have that knowledge with them. And that is why I'm here to give you that knowledge, so that you can understand exactly what our diet entails. So why is it so important to focus on wellness? Because we've talked about wellness. So there are different types of screening when we're doing wellness. We do physical screening, where we take your body measurements, take your height, your weight. There's also wellness in terms of mental health. So your mental health is assessed, because your mental health can really affect a lot of things in your life. There's also like the clinical aspect of it, where we take your biochemical data, and we're able to know whether your body systems are functioning well. So let's go back to the physical assessment, because that is usually the general guideline of how you are physically. So there's something called a BMI, and a BMI is usually calculated by basically getting your weight and your height, and we get a BMI. So there are different ranges of BMI, and which will tell us where you basically lie. So you could be underweight, you could be overweight, you could have a normal weight, you could be obese, and there are different classes of obesity. Now, why are we doing this? Because we're trying to, there's something called lifestyle diseases, which has actually increased in the past few years. So taking care of your wellness will enable you to detect risks, detect early development. So you may be having a condition and you really don't know. So we're trying to do early detection, because early detection can help reverse the symptoms. And then also for people who already have the conditions, we help manage and control those diseases. And then for those who have no risks, and they do not have the diseases developed, we help them prevent their bodies from getting there. So as I was talking about the BMI, BMI, it's a topic that everyone is talking about. We want to know what is normal BMI, how do I help myself maintain a normal BMI? Why is it so important to watch out for this? Because weight is a risk factor for so many diseases. I'm very sure if all of us were able to watch our weight, we would be able to maintain, to prevent or control those specific diseases from developing. And what kind of diseases am I talking about? We're talking about diabetes, we're talking about high blood pressure, which is also hypertension, we're talking about cardiac diseases, we're talking about obesity, we're talking about hyperlipidemia, which I'll talk about it later. And watching your weight can really prevent you from, because the goal of wellness, besides just living a normal healthy life, is also, we don't want you to live a long life that is filled with visits to the hospital. If I ask anyone around here and ask them when was the last time they went to the hospital, they'll probably tell you when they were sick. Most of us only go to the hospital when we are sick. We don't take that initiative to go just because we need to know how we are doing. And most people will hit you with the fact that you'll find what you're looking for, you know. But we're not really looking for it. We're just trying to detect and know what to do and what needs to change.
There's something you've mentioned about BMI. I don't know whether you can mention to us what is the normal range, but there's also this discussion I hear about the general parameters in terms of healthy BMI, and then there's what we consider us as Africans. Given our structures, do we follow the same parameters that are given globally? Or are they adjustable? Because we believe we are slightly different in terms of our body structure, in terms of our bone structure.
Okay, so there are things that are called modifiable risk factors and non-modifiable risk factors.
Okay.
So the modifiable ones are the things that you can change, basically your lifestyle. If you're drinking, you stop drinking. If you're smoking, you stop smoking. If your diet is bad, you change your diet.
Yeah.
If you're very inactive, you're living a sedentary life, you start working out. And then there are non-modifiable risks. We cannot change where we come from.
Okay.
Our environment, there are things that we cannot change, you know.
Yeah.
We cannot change the fact that we are Africans, and that also disposes us to many lifestyle diseases.
Yeah.
Now when we talk about BMI, the normal BMI ranges are usually between 18.5 to 24.9.
Okay.
That's a normal BMI. We usually get the BMI from, there's a formula that we use where we get your height and your weight.
Yes.
Then when you're overweight, your BMI is between 25 to 29.9.
Okay.
Then 30 and above is obesity, and I mentioned there are different classes of obesity.
Yes.
So the more your weight, the higher the class of obesity one is likely to be at. And then underweight is below 18.5. So 18.49 to below. However, I need to make it very clear that BMI is not the only indicator of nutrition status.
Okay.
Why are we doing that? Because, as you said, we are Africans. Most of us are built differently, and there are things that we cannot change. We cannot change our race. We cannot change our ethnicity group. So there's something called body composition.
Yeah.
Body composition basically tells us more than just the BMI tells us. BMI is meant to be a general guideline, and then we check into the body composition. So for the body composition, we check about the fat levels in your body. We check about your muscle mass. We check your body water. We check the weight of your bones, and we also check your daily calorie intake and also your metabolic age. Most of us will be surprised when you get a body composition analysis done. You find that your weight, your metabolic age is way more than we actually need to be. You could be 25, but your organs are like 30 years old. You could be 40, but your organs are 60 years old. So the body composition is very important because besides having a BMI, we need to, as I was mentioning, one can be very slender, but internally they are internally fat. So your body fat percentage is higher than it needs to be. Your muscle mass is way lower than it needs to be. Yes, for an overweight person, you could find someone who is overweight, but they're very healthy. They've taken care of their diet. They are being physically active. So you find they have more muscle mass than fat, and that is something that you need to consider. Not everyone who has a higher BMI is unhealthy, but it's also good to note that BMI is very important. It's the general assessment. Now we realize you're underweight. How is your weight? How is your body composition? You're overweight. How is your body composition? It's just more than just checking the BMI.
Now there's something you've mentioned now about the general body composition.
Yes.
So there are these machines I keep seeing all over the place, where they tell you remove your shoes, stand, and then, you know, step down, and then there's a small piece of paper they're printing out that shows. Is that something you would encourage people to?
To go?
Yes,
I would totally encourage, because as we say, BMI is not the only indicator. It's just a general guideline. We need to know what's inside you. So yes, the body composition machines exist. Actually, because I mentioned that I work at Equity Afya, we always have a body composition machine because we focus on more than just the physical appearance. We want to be able to curate a guideline that will help you, personally you, and not just focus on, are you big, are you small? So we want to be able to know what kind of a diet we're giving. And then now, in more advanced cases of assessment, so we've done the body composition. We've figured out that your muscle mass is very low. Your body fat is probably maybe, let's say, 50%, more 50%, and depending on the ranges and your age, we know whether this is high or this is low. So what do we do now? We even go a step further by assessing we're assessing your biochemical data. We check for your creatinine levels, we check for your cholesterol levels. So once we find out that your cholesterol levels are also high, besides your general body fat being high, we are able to figure out how do we take it from here. Yes.
Interesting. Viewers, I hope you are following this discussion. We are talking about wellness. From our guest's introduction, you can tell that diet is just one of the components of wellness. So don't focus too much on the diet and leave the others. So please follow this conversation, share on your social media platforms. You know, we are live on Facebook, we are live on YouTube. So please share so that as many people as possible can join in and benefit from this conversation. And if you have any questions, please make sure you post them. I will be able to read them in the course of the conversation as we continue, and our guests will be able to respond. So we are talking about wellness, we are talking about BMI, getting to know your body composition, and then now you've touched on biochemistry. Are these things that must be done in a hospital?
Well, not really.
Okay.
So we usually, as I said, we usually have wellness campaigns, and I work at a wellness center.
Okay.
And for the wellness center, we basically encourage people to come to the clinic and get those tests done. However, we usually organize mobile clinics where we usually go to corporate organizations and get the test done, because most of the time, if you're not sick, you do not see the essence of going to a hospital.
Yeah.
So we even have such programs that we organize. We organize that we come to you. We do the physical assessment, we do the clinical assessment, and we do the biochemical assessment as well. Take the samples to our labs and get the tests done. And then afterwards, we prepare a report for you. So during the report, we tell you, so the physical assessment said this. Then we moved on to the clinical. What did he say? Okay, so we moved to the biochemical data. What did it say?
Yeah.
That is what we do. So you don't necessarily have to come to the clinic. We can do it from wherever you are, as long as a prior organization is done. Because at the end of the day, the samples will be taken to the lab and all the tests will be done.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. So now we've done all those tests,
Yes.
and you have a report. So maybe help me understand, if I come, say, to Equity Afia, and you do all those tests.
Yes.
So once the report is out, what next?
So the report is out. If you're not in the medical field, you will not understand what those parameters say. You're told your creatinine levels is high. What does that mean? So the results are out. We know the normal ranges. We know what your readings are. We have sessions with a doctor and a nutritionist where we explain those results to you. We tell you, now we found your creatinine levels are high, your cholesterol levels are high. What does this mean? What does this mean? Is there a need to be worried? Should you be worried, or should you not be worried? Or what are the next steps after this? So after that, we usually have a care plan. So we have this program called Vital Care 360. This program basically focuses on the chronic diseases. And I mentioned about the lifestyle. Most of the lifestyle diseases are chronic diseases because their onset is never really felt. You might be having a condition for a very long time without even getting the symptoms, without seeing it in your body. So because it develops over a very long period of time, so it's called a chronic disease. So in this Vital Care 360 program, we focus on the chronic diseases that develop over a long period of time. So once we assess you and we find out that, number one, you either have it's already developed over a long period of time and it was not detected, or you are in the risk gap. So we curate a specific care plan for you. So if your cholesterol levels are high, we curate an ultimate cholesterol lowering plan. If we've found out that you have diabetes, type 2 or type 1, we also curate a plan that is, or you have all of them. People have hyperlipidemia. People have diabetes, high blood pressure. So those are things that we work on. Or you could even be having one, you could be obese, but obesity will increase the risk factors for these other diseases. So we help you manage that specific condition, and as we prevent the onset of the other conditions. Yes. It's called lifestyle management. So we basically help you change your lifestyle for the better. Yes.
I think what you mentioned is very interesting, because I think many people want instant results. They want, just tell me what to do, what to buy, you know, because now I think we have a lot of these supplements and all. So somebody's like, I'm willing to go and buy, but people are not really willing to change their lifestyles. So how do you help people, one, appreciate the importance of change of lifestyle, and then how they can maintain it?
So there's this phrase that says Rome was not built in a day. Yes, a child was not born and they grew up to become 18 in a day. The good things take time. And consistency and discipline are the key factors that one needs to consider. Because remember, something that is a quick fix is also a quick breakage, you know. Something that you can fix quickly will also come crumbling down. So when you talk about quick fixes, we have so many things that are in the market, so many things that are being marketed as a quick fix for weight loss. You want very quick results, but you forget that once you get the quick results, you need to maintain whatever you have achieved. And also some of these things are also marketing strategies, if you allow me to say. Because there's no way you will drink tea in a week and lose 10 kgs. That is absurd. There's no way you will take a certain supplement and within 10 days you've lost 10 kgs. That is so unrealistic. So even when we're creating a plan, we create a realistic plan. We do not want to tell you that we want you to lose 30 kgs within a month, yet we know it's very hard. Even us, we are human beings. We try those things on ourselves. You have to preach water and drink water as well. Yes, you cannot go against your preaching. And we know that all these things take time. It could, and also we also need to know that our bodies are very different. Our metabolism is, people even different ages, metabolism slows down as you age. So I cannot compare the results that I would get from a 30-year-old and the results I'd get from a 40-year-old. They're totally different. So those are also factors that we key in when we're making a plan. So there's no quick fix. There's really no quick fix. Let no one lie to you. Yes.
Okay. All right. So I think now, so lifestyle change, what does that entail?
So lifestyle changes is basically being intentional about making better life choices. Yeah, I talked about a sedentary lifestyle. So if you're physically inactive, you're being intentional about your physical activity, because also remember, physical activity also has an impact on our metabolism, our physical metabolism. Being intentional about what you eat. Remember, they say garbage in, garbage out. So whatever you eat is going to reflect on your body, on your health, on your biochemical data. You cannot eat junk every day and expect to have an athletic body. Yes. If you know you're watching your diet, you're being physically active, you're watching your mental health, you'll definitely get those results that you want. Yes. So lifestyle changes, you be intentional about everything that you do. Am I drinking? How much am I drinking? Am I smoking? Should I be smoking? We all know we shouldn't be doing that. Am I watching my diet? Am I eating everything that is laid on my table? And the thing about Africans, you mentioned about us being Africans, is that we love food. And food is actually very good. Because everyone, when they see a nutritionist, they think, now I'm not supposed to be eating, you know, now a nutritionist is going to tell me to have a very boring diet. I'm supposed to be having bland food. But that is not what nutrition is about. We want to use the food that is available to you, that is easily accessible but making the right choices through those foods. So it does not it could mean changing your diet to a healthier diet, but also making sure the healthier diet is giving you the right results. Yes.
So I want us to look at how does the age factor affect wellness? But before I go to that, I just want to ask, when we're talking about lifestyle changes, for people who have like 8 to 5 jobs, what can they do? So 8 to 5 can be a bit tricky because you're basically working your entire day. You're spending maybe an hour transiting to work, commuting to work, and also after work. So you rarely have so much time to yourself. But remember, if you're being intentional about things, you'll create time. We always create time for the things we love. We create time to watch movies. We create time to spend time with family. So if you really want to do something, you will always create time, because remember, you only need 30 minutes in a day. You spend 30 minutes scrolling on your social media. 30 minutes could be spent making a change in your life. But besides that, we also want to make sure that during your day activities, you make use of that time. Yeah.
So we work in buildings that have elevators.
Yeah.
Why should you take an elevator and you're trying to be active instead of using the stairs?
Okay.
Why should you have to use a car for a distance that you can actually walk? Why there's so many things that one can do that can you make them part of your daily routine that will help increase your physical activity.
Okay.
So if one knows that they're not able to create that time for physical activity and being intentional during the day. Make sure you don't sit at your desk the entire day. Find some time. If you're leaving the building, use the stairs instead of an elevator.
Okay.
Walk for a distance that you can actually walk instead of taking a car or a means of transport. Because technology has really made life easier, but is it really making life easier?
It's making us lazy. Anyway, So now we've talked about wellness, but mental health. I think it's really something that over the past maybe couple of years it has become increasingly important, not because it wasn't before, but we've started seeing so many cases now that require us to also consider our mental wellness. So do you have any programs on that, or what would you advise people in terms of just making sure that mentally they are fit, they are okay?
So mental health affects so many aspects of our lives. So if one is not able to take care of their mental health, they'll not take care of themselves as a human being. And people have different coping mechanisms to different situations in their lives. And that also affects our dietary habits. There are people, when they get stressed, they do stress eating. There are people who get anorexic when their mental health is not okay. So what I would advise is for one to see a therapist or a clinical psychologist to be able to deal with the things that are affecting their mental health, because their mental health will eventually affect their physical and their nutrition, their nutrition well-being. So yes, we do have programs where we take care of individuals' mental health. We have clinical psychologists at our clinics. We've also partnered with other organizations that help, that are on the forefront fighting for the mental health of people. And I'm really happy that people are seeing the importance of taking care of our mental health. It's really good. At least now we are no longer sweeping things under the rug.
Okay. Wow. Wonderful. Viewers, I hope you're following our discussion this morning as we talk about the importance of wellness, that you have to ensure that you get checked, wellness checks. Okay, so she's with Equity Afya, and they have a place where you can go and just make sure that you're okay. And if you're not okay, they have plans that can help you to understand what you need to do. And it is so important for you to make sure that you are actually well. Okay, so again, let's just go back maybe a little bit when we are talking about now the lifestyle diseases. Now, we know the risk factors, and we know that there are things that can be done to change that. But I want us to zero in on the role of diet now, specifically, in terms of just helping either, maybe let's start with somebody who doesn't have it, but they have the risk factors.
So I want to state out some factors here. We have, did you know that 74% of the global deaths are affected by the lifestyle diseases? The chronic diseases. And 50% of our inpatient, the inpatient setup in Kenya is contributed to by also the chronic diseases. 50%. That means so many of us don't know what is going on in their bodies. And we also discovered that taking care of your nutrition could actually reduce the number of inpatients, the number of people in the inpatient services in our hospitals. Could also help reduce the development of other diseases. So diet is very important in managing managing and preventing control, and preventing the chronic diseases. So we can start by the prevention. Remember, I talked about the modifiable risks and the non-modifiable risks. And the non-modifiable risk, we really don't have so much control over it, but we have control in that we will, in as much as we have the non-modifiable risks, we will prevent ourselves from getting them, modifiable risks.
Okay.
And then now the modifiable risks, you could not necessarily be having the non-modifiable risks, but be in the modifiable risk group,
Yes.
and prevent yourself from getting there.
Okay.
So when you're talking about the non-modifiable group, it could be the family history. Remember, family history contributes.
Yes.
If your grandmother, your mother, they all have diabetes, it increases your chances of getting diabetes. If you are black or African, our chances are even higher. Yes.
Oh, I didn't know that.
It actually, the studies have shown that.
Okay.
Yes. Also because of our environment.
Okay.
You may not be able to change our environment. You may not be able to change the food that we have available in our community.
Okay.
So things that we're not able to change. But things we are able to change: our lifestyle, what we eat, how are we relating to our environment, how are we managing our stress, how are we physically in our physical activity life.
Okay.
So diet plays a very huge role in that.
Okay.
Let's talk about diabetes, which has really increased in the past.
Okay, just before maybe we talk about diabetes,
Yes.
I think we need to take a break now.
Okay.
Viewers, will be right back. Please don't touch that dial. We come back, we talk about lifestyle diseases. Again, please share the links on your social media platforms so that we can have as many people benefit from this conversation this morning. So don't touch that dial. We'll be right back.
Praise the Lord. My name is Bishop Jackson Kingori of Neema Gospel Church. I'm here to invite you to join us for a great time of worship. This is a place you don't want to miss. Every Sunday is exciting for you and your families. Your children will have a wonderful program that they will never want to miss church again. Your faith will be strengthened. You will not be judged because of who you are or where you come from. We practice the grace of God. And we are located at Royal Town along Githuguri Road, not far away from town, in a place called Imani Gardens. Please join us and come and have an experience like none other. God bless you. Looking forward.
Well, welcome back, viewers. We are talking about wellness, and we have just laid a foundation through our guest as she has talked to us about the importance of wellness and what we need to do so that we can check our health status, we can check our wellness. And now, just before the break, we were talking about how diet is instrumental in helping us deal with lifestyle diseases. And we had just started talking about diabetes and how diet can help us deal with that. But again, I just want to remind you that we are live, and I would like you to share those links. I've seen those who've been able to join us. Thank you very much. Moses, thank you. We see your question. We will respond to them shortly. Thank you so much for all the others that I'm not able to maybe see your names, but thank you for tuning in this morning. Okay. So now we were talking about diabetes and how diet can help. So first you were talking about, I think, preventive, isn't it?
Yes.
Then we can now go to management.
So we understand that different people or different groups have different nutritional requirements.
Yes.
A child has a different requirements from a teenager. A teenager's requirements are way different from a young adult.
Yes.
An old person, I know they don't like being called that, but they also, their requirements are very different.
Yes.
And it's the same when it comes to disease management. So in disease management, we change the requirements to fit the, we change the dietary intake to fit the requirements of that individual.
Okay.
So let's talk about diabetes, for example.
Yes.
We know that diabetes happens when there's excess sugar in you. I'm going to use very simple terms for the understanding of our audience, but it's when you have a lot of sugar in your blood and it's uncontrollable.
Yeah.
So your requirements, your body requires a lower amount of sugar, so that we don't have that overload, and also make sure that whatever is in the blood is being used up.
Okay.
So your requirements will change. And there's this something called, we all hear people talking about calories. Calories basically come from our food.
Okay.
And these calories are usually used and changed into energy.
Yes.
And we use energy in our day-to-day activities,
Yes.
walking around, working, thinking, and even physical exercise for those who are physically active. So there's something called maintenance calories,
Yes.
where basically you eat only what your body needs for maintenance. So if, for example, you need 2,000 calories to maintain your body, you just eat 2,000, and 2,000 calories will be used up by your body. So there will be no deficit, okay?
Yeah.
If you eat more than that, there'll be an excess amount of calories which will be in turn stored in your body, and for diabetic people it will be stored in their blood, and their blood sugars will spike. Okay? And if you eat less than that, you're basically denying your body what it requires. So your body is forced to get those calories from your body, and that's what promotes weight loss and use up of extra fat in our body.
Okay.
So diet really plays a huge role, because the requirements change depending on each disease that one has. If you're hypertensive, your diet will change. We will try to adjust your salt levels depending on what your body needs. We'll try to adjust your liquid intake, your different micronutrients like the potassium. We'll also adjust those ones. If you're diabetic, we change those ones. If someone has cancer, they also change that so that you can also fit the requirements of a cancer patient. So diet really plays a huge role, and also it helps because now there's no need of taking medication. Nobody likes taking medication. And the goal of Vital Care 360, which is the program I told you about, is to ensure that in as much as you're having medication, we make sure that you don't live on medication your entire life. Now once you start taking medication, you don't care about what you eat. And this phrase where you're supposed to let food be your medicine and medicine be your food. Basically, we're trying to use food as our medicine, making sure that we get the best out of our food so that we don't have to be taking medication. Remember, nobody likes medication at all. And even some patients usually have a problem taking their medication because they don't like it. So our goal is to help reverse those using diet, and even maybe probably lower your dosage or even get you out of medication, because it's something that is very, very possible. Yes.
All right. So I think basically what I'm picking from you is, for our viewers who are watching this morning, it's very important for you to understand what is the condition you are trying to manage or to reverse, and then get a professional to sit down with you and help you to be able to come up with a diet that will be able to address their concerns. Okay.
And then there are general guidelines for all the diseases. Yes, each disease has its own general guidelines. But the importance of having a personalized diet plan is because everyone is different. Your requirements go according to your weight and your age group. So you cannot say, I was told to eat a smaller amount of carbohydrates. But what is small? Small is very relative. My small might not be your small, or his small, or any other person's small. We all have different calorie and other micronutrient requirements according to the weight of our body, according to the needs of our body, and according to our age. So the things that we factor in. So you cannot just say, I was told to reduce amount of meat, and you don't know you're reducing, but to what level.
Yeah.
So those are things. That is why a very personalized diet plan is important.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. Wonderful, wonderful. So viewers, I hope you are learning as much as I am also here in studio. So I want us now to also zero in on, at the beginning of the second segment, you talked about the needs of different ages.
Yes.
Maybe you can take us through that, and then now we look at maybe weight loss and the role that diet plays, and what else people need to do to try and trigger, I say trigger weight loss.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, so we start with the age factor.
Yes.
So remember I mentioned about everyone in every age group and gender having different requirements.
Yes.
A man's need are not the same as a woman's need, a child's need, because there's something called metabolism, and so the genetic factor. So in metabolism, children have a very, very high metabolic rate.
Okay.
Yes, compared to adults, because as one ages, the metabolism slows down.
Okay.
And we need to be able to keep that on check.
Yeah.
We need to be able to know, to make sure that our bodies are catching up with our age, you know. And age plays a very huge role. So it's very important to know that once age progresses, metabolism slows down. Our organs are basically slowing down.
Okay.
And we need to watch out for that.
Okay.
So someone who's probably in their 20s, they may not see the need of checking their diet, because no matter how much they eat, they might not even gain weight.
Yeah.
But you get to your 30s, you wake up, you inhale, and you've gained weight.
Yeah.
So it is very important to tune your diet according to your age, because remember, metabolism is slowing down. You need to tune your physical activity according to your age, because metabolism is slowing down.
Wow.
And also another thing to note is that also your diet is also affected by your physical activity rate. Someone who is in the gym every morning for 1 hour will not have the same diet as someone who's probably just sitting around in the office. Their diet changes. You need to rebuild the muscles. You need to build the muscles. You need to help the muscles recover. So that's also things that one needs to check out. So no diet will work the same for different age groups. Yeah, that is the importance of the personalized diet. So check on your age. Know that as you slow down, we know that once you slow down, now your body starts changing. Understand that is because of the age, but you will not let the age slow you down.
Okay.
The age is making your organs slow down, but don't let it slow you down. You actually, one needs to be more focused about it.
Okay.
Yes.
Wow. All right. So now let's look at weight loss.
Yes.
So for someone who is, say, obese, okay, let's look at, because you talked there could be different stages.
Yes.
For someone who is obese, what would you recommend, and how can they start that weight loss journey?
Okay.
Guided, of course, by diet. There are other factors I believe you'll tell us about, but how does that journey begin?
So remember we talked about weight being a risk factor for so many diseases.
Yes.
If only all of us could watch on our weight, we could prevent so many diseases from happening. That is why weight loss is important. Also, however, need to mention that there are certain people for certain people, they do not need to lose weight. For example, a pregnant woman. When there's no way I'm going to advise a pregnant woman to lose weight, because they need to gain weight so that for the growth of the baby, to be able to support the baby. So we do not really watch on their calories. We basically watch on preventing them from eating junk food to prevent childhood obesity.
Okay.
A lactating mother, they have high calorie requirements. Because you're basically eating for 2 people, or even sometimes 3. Yes, so you have to be able to watch your calorie intake so that you can be able to provide enough milk for the growing baby. Also the old people, especially the ones who are fighting terminal illnesses. Most of these terminal illnesses lead to catabolism, which leads to muscle breakdown. So you cannot start telling someone to lose it. Most of them have already actually lost weight. So you're trying to build on whatever, to maximize on what the little that is left. Yes. So weight loss, we also talked about quick fixes.
Yes.
And that, I know that is what most people want to hear about. And I mentioned there's no quick fix is sustainable. Remember when you're talking about lifestyle modifications, lifestyle changes, we're looking for something that is sustainable over a very long period of time, because that is basically our new life. So we want to be able to go with something that is easily available, something that is you actually enjoy eating. Most people, when they hear weight loss, they imagine of all the bad diet, all the bad food that you'll not enjoy. But you can still enjoy our food and ensuring that you just get the best out of it.
Okay.
And I also mentioned about the calorie intake.
Yes.
And I mentioned about the maintenance calories, whereby you basically eat what your body requires. What your intake is equal to your expenditure.
Yes.
We also talked about what promotes weight gain when your intake is higher than your expenditure.
Okay.
And we talked about weight loss, where we are basically eating less than our expenditure.
Yes.
So we are denying our body a certain amounts of calories so that you can promote the burning of the fat in our body.
Yes.
That is called a calorie deficit diet.
Okay.
And there's so many ways of achieving a calorie deficit diet. First of all, number one, identify how many calories you need according to your body, because calories are usually calculated according to your weight and according to your physical activity life. Okay. So if you're physically inactive, your calories are different from someone who's active. I mentioned that.
Yes.
So you first of all recognize the amount of calories that you need, and then try and figure out how much you've been having. So there's something called a dietary history.
Okay.
Yeah. So as a nutritionist, if you tell me that you had like you estimated your the amount of rice you had last night, and you told me it was similar to 1 full cup, I'll be able to estimate how many calories you had.
Okay.
It's a superpower.
Like I had 6 slices of bread or something.
Yes.
So you're able to
I'm able to
estimate.
know to estimate how many calories, because no one also wants to start measuring. I was told to do 90 grams. We need to also find something that is, because you'll not go to a restaurant and tell them, give me 90 grams of rice. You know? Yeah, so we were able to estimate and know approximately how much you're taking. So we do a dietary history. We know how much you normally take and how much it could amount to, and then now curating a plan to make it lower than what you actually need, so that you can promote weight loss. However, it can also be difficult because if you're used to eating a huge size of ugali for you to attain your satiety, and now I'm telling you to eat a very small piece of ugali, how will you get full? That is usually the biggest concern of people.
And I hear, actually, I don't know how true that is. They say our tummy is just about the size of our fist.
Yes. So we need to be able to train our stomach. You've already trained your stomach to
eat a lot.
And now you need to train it to accept smaller amounts of food. So how do we attain that? And how do we, because you also experience cravings, you also experience hunger pangs. You are told to have your last meal probably at 5 p.m. By the time you're getting home at 9 p.m., you're very hungry. How are you able to handle that? So it is very hard to adjust our lifestyle, but once you train your stomach to accommodate smaller amounts of food, then you'll be good. Okay? Because remember, satiety is a state of mind. Most of us actually, we eat to get satisfied, not because we need extra calories. We eat to finish because you've been presented with a whole plate of food. So you want to eat to finish because it's been presented to you. But it doesn't have to be the case. You just eat what your body requires. So being intentional about what you eat will give you the best results. I'll still use this: garbage in, garbage out. Yes.
Okay. Now, so we are talking about calorie deficit, so that what we are burning is more than what we are taking in. So when I look at some of these diets, I don't want to go into the details of the diets, but is there a recommendation on how a plate should be in terms of portions, maybe carbohydrates, vegetables, assuming this is just a normal person, no conditions, but just general guidelines? Do they exist?
Yes, they do.
Okay.
So there's something called a healthy plate model. We all know that there are three main different groups of food that we all know: carbohydrates, proteins, and vitamins. For us, we have up to 10 because we categorize them differently. But for the understanding of your audience, there are 3 main ones that we all know: carbohydrates, proteins, and vitamins,
Yeah.
or fruits and vegetables.
Yes.
So our carbohydrates give us energy.
Yes.
Our proteins, they help build our body and our muscles.
Yeah.
Then the fruits and vegetables give us vitamins and minerals.
Okay.
So because we are trying to reduce the calories, and calories mostly come from carbohydrates and proteins,
Yeah.
we control the intake of those two different food groups.
Okay.
So that we are able to control our calorie intake.
Okay.
So we have a plate model. And a normal plate is circular in size.
Yeah.
So what you need to do is divide your plate into 3 portions. So divide it into half. One full half is vegetables, and then the other half you divide it into 2 quarters. You get a carbohydrate and a protein. However, you know, our homes, we have different sizes of plates.
Yeah.
So someone may take a big plate and they say, they told me to do half.
Yeah.
So you also need to use your hand measurement. Just know that your fist size is your carbohydrate, your palm size is your protein, and eat as much vegetables as possible. So remember we talked about training our stomachs to accommodate smaller amounts of food. Because now you're reducing your carbohydrate intake. You used to eating maybe double of your feast, and now you're told to eat even your feast or even half of your feast. How do you promote satiety? That amount of vegetables, because of the bulk that is provided by the fiber in vegetables, it will help you have that feeling of satiety. And also the food will take a longer time to be digested. Therefore you don't get hungry fast. Yes.
Okay. All right, so there's a question here that one of our viewers, Moses, is asking.
Yes.
How does one achieve the balance between diet and exercise?
Okay. So the balance between diet and exercise, remember, it's in the calorie requirements.
Yeah.
Yes. A physically active person and someone who's just living a normal life, they're not inactive, but they're also not very active.
Yeah.
Understand your needs. What are you training for?
Yeah.
Are you training to lose weight? Therefore, you need to be on even a lower calorie. You make sure you utilize so many calories than you actually need, so that you can promote weight loss. Are you trying to build muscles?
Yeah.
If you're trying to build muscle, your requirements are different. Protein, especially protein, because we mentioned that proteins build our body, they build our muscles. So the requirements of the proteins are different. It also depends on the type of exercises you're doing, which is hopefully something that we can cover sometime later. There's strength training, there's muscle build. People who are bodybuilders, they will not eat the same as someone who's trying to lose weight. Those are also things that you need to factor in. Identifying what exactly you're training for. Are you training for weight loss? Are you training to bulk? Are you training to maintain? Those are things that you need to consider. So that will also affect your diet.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. All right. Thank you. Then there's Jenny who is saying good information. Thank you so much for tuning in. So as we still talk about weight loss, now we've talked about just general, a normal individual in terms of someone who is just obese but they don't have other conditions.
Yes.
So what are now the considerations for people who still need to lose weight but they have underlying conditions?
Underlying conditions.
Yeah.
So when you're curating that diet plan, you figure out what we are trying to achieve.
Yes.
So are we trying to do sugar control? Are we trying to do weight loss? Are we trying to do weight gain? Because different conditions have different requirements. So number one, if someone has different underlying conditions, we first identify which one is more critical compared to the other one.
Okay, let me give you an example. For example, I had a relative who had a heart condition.
Yes.
So it was recommended she needed to lose weight, but no exercise.
Yes.
Yeah. So how do you deal with something
How do you deal with that?
Yeah.
So especially for such conditions that we don't want to put the patient into a lot of strain, diet plays a huge role. Now, since they cannot exercise, we focus so much on the diet, and the heart conditions also, there are so many things we consider. Fluid intake. Yes, how much fluid do they need, so that we don't put so much strain on their heart.
Okay.
Yes, so we'll focus on the weight loss without the exercise. Actually, when you're talking about lifestyle modifications, I mostly talk about diet and exercise. And I usually say diet is even way more important than exercise. Why? Because you could exercise, but your diet, you're still eating the same things that you still used to eat, so you don't get any results. That's why you find someone told you, I started running for a whole month and I did not even lose weight because they were still eating the same things. Yes?
Yeah.
You want change, but you're not making the change that you want.
Yeah.
But with diet, even without exercise, you get so much. You are able to achieve so much. So it is possible to check on your diet without checking on the physical activity, especially if your health condition does not allow you to do that.
Okay.
But also, if you're able to do both, that is you're going to get the best results out of your lifestyle modification.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. All right. So Moses, I believe we've answered your question. So now again, looking at just total wellness, because we're preparing to wind up our discussion. So what are the key takeaways? I know you've mentioned a couple as we've been discussing, but what are the key takeaways that you'd give to our viewers?
Yes.
Like in terms of achieving total wellness,
Yes.
what should they look out for?
Okay.
Like, okay, you've said I need to just make sure I do a wellness check, yeah? But are there even maybe certain things that I could notice that would just tell me, hey, even if you didn't want to, please check into the nearest wellness center. Then from there you'll know how you're doing.
Okay.
Yeah.
So one of the things that you could check out for is how you do your physical activities.
Okay.
You go up a flight of stairs and you feel like you're dying.
Yeah.
Your heart is telling you stop or I will stop. Those are things that you also need to check.
Okay.
How are your joints? Because sometimes now, because of the weight can be too much on the joints, because it's exerting so much pressure on the joints.
Okay.
How are my joints?
Okay.
And other things could be even your skin. Your skin can show us so much of what is happening on inside our bodies.
Oh, okay.
Yes. How is your mental health? Yes. How are you able to? Are your concentration levels good? Those are also things that one needs to check. How is your sleep?
Yeah.
Diet can also affect your sleep, and sleep can also affect your diet. So those are also needs. If you're having a hard time falling asleep, or if you're sleeping too much, that's also a sign that you need to check on some things.
Yeah.
If your urine output is changing and suddenly you're going to the toilet over 10 times in a day or 20 times in a day, that is something that you need to watch out for.
Yeah.
Yes. If you're barely speaking, if you're barely catching a breath when you reduce small physical exercise, but you need to get checked.
Yeah.
If you feel like you're growing old and you feel like I need to take care of myself, that is a very huge sign. Okay. But my takeout is change begins with you. That is one. Number two, you really don't have to be sick to go to a hospital. Go and get yourself checked. Number three, you don't have to be growing old to start watching your diet, to start watching your wellness. You can start as early as possible to have a long-term lifestyle, a good lifestyle in the long run.
Yeah.
Yes, and consistency and discipline. And then Rome was not built in a day. There's no quick fix. Do not go for the quick. And there are other quick fixes which probably can talk about later, like surgery. But if you do a surgery and you don't change your lifestyle, you're just going back to where you came from. So you're just wasting money. So there's no quick fix. Always aim for the sustainable and long-term plans.
Okay.
Yes.
Interesting that you mentioned the surgery bit, because it's now become very common.
Yes.
I mean, I see those ads all
everywhere,
over, you know. Yeah, so I think perhaps people really just need to make their own choices. But ultimately, as you say, if you don't change, what you've done is you have just, again, postponed the problem, isn't it?
We are postponing the
because
problem.
It will come back again.
Yes.
Okay. And then we have myths around diets that perhaps we also need to look at and just deal with. One is, of course, you have already mentioned, where diets are boring. Okay, I've done diets, by the way, in my life. Yeah. I've done all sorts of diets. But yeah, you know, most of this would come across as, okay, just take this amount. So you need a weighing scale. You have to measure, I don't know how many grams of fish. Some of the food you even see in those diets, you can't even get it. You don't know it. Yeah. So I don't know, what are some of these myths that we can just debunk
Yes.
this morning for our viewers.
Okay.
Yeah.
The first one being diet that is boring. Diet doesn't have to be boring.
Yeah.
Number two, diet is expensive. It really doesn't have to. We can use locally available food and just curate them to the needs of your body. So it doesn't have to be expensive.
Sorry, let me cut you short there, because that's also a challenge. There's a diet I tried many years ago. It says I had to find, I don't know, codfish and stuff. So I went to look for codfish, and Lord, I paid. So what I'm hearing you say is, I mean, we can have a diet that can, maybe it doesn't have to be codfish, it doesn't have to be red snapper, it doesn't have to be salmon. Yeah. Okay. It
So
can be something but that can substitute but still give you
the nutrients that you need.
Okay.
We can always, there's always substitution. That's why you can find potassium is found in so many different groups. So what about if I can't find banana? Where do I get my potassium from? And I need the potassium.
Okay.
If I don't drink milk, how do I get my calcium?
Yes.
If I don't eat red meat, how do I get my iron?
Yes.
So there are so many alternatives to food, and you don't have to eat the same thing over and over. Actually, we advocate for diversity.
Okay.
Eat different foods, explore different types of food groups, so that you can be able to meet your nutrient requirements. So it doesn't have to be expensive, it doesn't have to be boring, and it is definitely not for old people. Even as a young person, make sure you watch your diet, and it is not for sick people. Just because you're not sick does not mean you should not check on your diet.
Okay.
People wait to be told you have diabetes so that they can change their diet. It doesn't have to be that way. Yes.
Okay. Wow, wow, wow. Viewers, I hope you are following. We have been discussing about wellness. We have been looking at what we need to do. We've tried to debunk some of the myths around diets and why it is important for you to actually watch your diet. So check your age, check your metabolism, yes. Check your
BMI, the
BMI.
risk factors, yes.
And also the activity levels. And then come up with a diet. And if you cannot, of course, she's here and many others that you can access that can help you come up with a diet that will be suitable for you so that you can achieve your weight, especially if weight loss goals, but most importantly, wellness.
They can feel free to come to our wellness center at Equity Afya Nairobi West. And we can enroll them to the Vital Care 360 program, where our goal is to thrive, not survive. We are thriving and we're not surviving. Yes.
All right. So where exactly?
At Equity Afya Nairobi West, just behind T-Mall. Yes.
All right. So viewers, there you have it. I think you have an opportunity to, you have no excuse. I think that's what we are saying.
Oh, there's no excuse.
There's no excuse for anyone.
Change begins with you.
Yeah. All right. So what is your parting shot as we close?
My parting shot, change begins with you, and we need to aim to thrive and not survive. Live the best life in the best way possible, instead of living a long life where you're just surviving and fighting for your life. So we thrive and not survive. Yes.
Beautiful. Okay, viewers, that's all we had time for today, where we thrive and not survive. And make sure you place a premium on your wellness, and that change begins with you. I've been your host, Laureen Magotsi, and it's been a pleasure engaging with you this morning. Until next Thursday, God bless you.
The church is back at Uhuru Park. the chairman of the Standing Strong Ministers Conference, Apostle Othniel Mwabili, and the conference convener, Apostle David Juma, together with the executive